Oh,
Hello
right.
and welcome to another Chatbox podcast. It's episode 56 of the Chatbox podcast here today. How are you doing? Right, let's crack on with this week's guest. As you know, each week I have a guest to talk about their job or their career. So let's crack on and meet this week's guest, shall we? My guest today is broadcaster Andy Hoyle. Hello, Andy. Welcome along.
Hello, thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, sir. How are you?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
That's good. 5 questions about your favourite topic, broadcasting, if that's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's begin. Take as long as we need. Okay, are you ready to rumble in the jungle?
I am ready to rumble.
Question 1. Where did you start your broadcast career?
Oh, right. Yes, that goes back a long way. I started as a volunteer at my local hospital radio station, which was called 8 Towns Radio, and that was at Tameside General Hospital in Ashton-under-Lyne, just outside Manchester. And I volunteered there, started there in 1989. First of all, reading news bulletins, and then after that, presenting shows as well.
Brilliant. What was your first song you ever played on the radio?
The first song I played on 8 Towns Radio, I think it was something by Cliff Richard. I can't remember exactly, but I did a show on New Year's Eve, 1989 into 1990. So it was lots of songs from the 1980s we played.
Did you play any Phil Collins?
I'm sure I did, yeah, because he was big 80s star, wasn't he? So I'm sure I will have played some Phil Collins in that show.
One of my favourite songs is Phil Collins' Easy Lover.
Great song. Philip Bailey and Phil Collins, yeah.
Have you ever played that on one of your stations?
Yeah, lots of times.
I remember because I was listening to Neil Fox a few months ago, and he said that when that song came out, he just wanted to play the drum kit.
Yes, you can see why, can't you? You'd want to pretend to play along with it. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, you might have felt like that when that song comes on.
Yeah, that and other Phil Collins ones as well. Studio makes you want to play the drums. In the Air Tonight makes you want to play the drums.
He's a brilliant singer and he's retiring soon.
He is, yeah.
Question 2. Who are your inspirations in broadcasting growing up?
Ooh, interesting question, that. Some of the people I liked to listen to, they're not people that I sort of wanted to be like. I just enjoyed listening to their programs. So when I was growing up, I liked listening to Alan Beswick's Late Night Phone-In, because I liked the way that he just cut people off and argued with people. That's not the sort of thing I do on air at all, but I enjoyed listening to it and I enjoyed listening to him. So growing up, I used to listen to the radio very quietly, so my mum and dad couldn't hear it on in the bedroom, but I would be listening to Alan Beswick's Late Night Phone-In on Red Rose Radio in the 1980s. So he was a hero, yeah.
He was actually on, he's now on the BBC, I think.
He is. He's on BBC Manchester and BBC Lancashire, I think, at the weekend. So
he used to be on the weekday, but he does his show from Merseyside now.
Oh, is that right? Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't know that.
And he said a comment about Justin Timberlake, if you've seen it.
I have seen that, yeah. I must admit, it did make me laugh.
He was honest about it.
That's right. You're always told as a radio presenter, even if you don't like the song, don't say so, just say nothing. But of course, he was very honest about it, wasn't he? And he wasn't keen at all, was he?
No. You look at James Wales, Scotty McClue, Alan Beswick.
Yeah.
They were all the original rebels of radio.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
They still are the rebels of radio.
Yeah, I'm not sure there are any rebels now, any new rebels. Not sure I can think of any new rebels.
Tony Blackburn's another rebel.
Yeah, and what a great presenter he is. You've got to be good to him for as long as he has.
Actually, I'll tell you a little story about him if you've ever seen his Piers Morgan's life stories. He got removed from a radio station because he went to play. He played a Cliff Richard track.
That's right, yeah.
And he got a last warning and he just threw it in the bin. But then he got reinstated because people were trying to break into the radio studio.
Yeah, well, he's a popular man, is Tony Blackburn. You can see why. He's very good.
And the bosses probably thought, oh, well, we'll bring him back. We don't want people damaging our property.
No, exactly.
They didn't want, they brought him back. And do you know what he got as a present from Cliff Richard?
No, I've not heard this story. Go on.
A bottle of wine and a thank you gift.
I bet it was wine from Cliff Richard's own vineyard.
Yeah. Would you do, if you say, for example, if Ofcom told you to stop playing a Cliff Richard track, would you play it anyway?
I'm not sure if Ofcom told us, because I think that would be a big risk to take to go against.
If one of your presenters or someone, your people in charge.
If anybody in charge said that we were to stop playing his music or tried to ban any artist, no, I wouldn't be happy with that. I think I would stand up for the artist and still play them. And if they wanted to sack me, well, I'd have to be sacked.
And then they'd probably bring you back.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, because they brought Tony Blackburn back.
Yeah, true.
They brought him back and he just threw the final warning letter in the bin.
I don't blame him.
Because I don't know why they weren't playing Cliff Richard tracks at the time. It was probably a dispute with the promoter or something.
I think they were thinking they were trying to be cool, but it's a bit silly to me.
It was a classic. I think it was classic.
Yeah.
Gold, I think, or Jazz FM.
Classic Gold. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, and they brought him back in the end.
Quite right too. It's too good a presenter.
Capital Gold was just a reboot of Radio 1.
In a lot of ways, yeah. They had a lot of the old Radio 1 presenters on there, didn't they?
I liked Simon Mayonnaise.
He's good, yeah.
Have you ever listened to him?
Yeah, I must admit, I've not listened to him recently since he's moved to Greatest Hits.
Did you ever listen to him on Scala?
I did, yeah. I did listen to him on there. I thought it's an unusual idea, Scala. Yeah, an interesting listen. What
do they play on Scala?
Well, they play mostly classical music, but there's other stuff on there as well. It's quite varied, but it's not your usual pop music station. So for a change, sometimes it's quite.
Do you get any inspiration to do any of your shows from any particular station or show?
I try not to copy other stations.
Do you bring any elements in?
Yeah. I think stations that I've worked for previously, like stations in the Lynx FM group, I think they were really good at doing local material on air. So I've tried to bring that into what I do now, being the local radio station for the area.
Do you ever play games on your games for the listeners on your station? Oh,
yeah,
quizzes,
we do a few games, and we do a few games and a few giveaways. Local businesses give prizes, only small prizes. We give away vouchers to to a sandwich bar every week and things like that. But people like to win small prizes. It doesn't have to, I don't think you have to buy listeners with huge, big money prizes all the time. People like the idea of being able to win something.
Does your show have any specific games that are just for your show?
No, I don't at the moment. My show that I do at the weekend is really, it's a music breakfast show with bits of information about things that are going on in the area over the weekend.
Are you enjoying this show?
Yeah, I do, because I've always enjoyed being on air in the area where I grew up, and this is home to me, this area. So I feel like I know the place well, I know the people well. So it's easier to talk about places, I think. So that's why I enjoy it.
How's it? Yeah, I love radio, mate. And one of my friends as well, who I've got acquainted to over the last few months, Vicky Michelle as well.
Oh, brilliant. Right, yeah.
From LOLO.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Because she knows everyone.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. Great actress.
Yeah, and also, yeah, lots of radio presenters.
Right, brilliant.
Yeah, and I've got a few more lined up for tomorrow. Mark Chadwick, Naz Premji.
Yeah, you've got a good list of people, and there's a good backlist of people that you've already spoken to as well. It's good.
Have you listened to any of my previous content?
I've listened to one or two bits. I listened to your chat with Trevor Thomas, who's a good friend of mine. So yeah, it was interesting to hear what Trevor had to say about his presenting in Ireland and the other stuff that he's done. Yeah.
You'll probably know Bruce Edwards then.
Yes, I don't think I've ever worked with him, but I know who he is. Yeah.
He was a bit ranty about Bauer.
Right, I try not to rant if I can help it.
He was a bit, and they had Raymond Rose on as well.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they had opinions.
And they said they were just disappointed to be told a month before that everything was moving forward.
Yeah, and I understand why they were upset.
Because they were told they were going to be on air for another couple of months, and then they were told a month.
Right, yeah, it did seem to come round really quickly.
I'm sorry, I think the COVID accelerated it.
Yes. Yeah, I think there is that possibility. And I think, when that happens to you, when you lose a job that you love, you are disappointed. There's no two ways about it. It's not nice.
Were you there at the end of the Bauer local days when it became networked?
Yeah, so I was on Compass when Compass became Greatest Hits Radio, and that was networked. And then I was on Revolution as well, which was the radio station in Oldham, so not far from where I live here. And I was on there until it became part of the network.
Where did you work with Trevor Thomas?
I've worked with Trevor in a few different places. We worked together at Links Group. So Trevor was on Rother FM at the weekends, and I used to do a lot of cover work across the 4 stations that were based there in Doncaster. And I also used to do quite a lot of cover work at High Peak Radio, where Trevor worked. So yeah, we worked together there as well.
And one of my other guests was on High Peak. I'm trying to remember his name. I had him on the other day. He used to be in charge of High Peak.
Yeah,
Not
right.
Leighton Morris. I'll have a look back later on, and I'll come back to you with that name.
Yes, that was.
Question 3, what is your favourite part of the job?
Favourite part of the job? It's just the whole job, really, in a lot of ways. I think there's a famous saying, isn't there? If if you do a job that you enjoy, you'll never work a day in your life or something like that. And I suppose it means really that it doesn't feel like work because it's something that I do and I enjoy. But being part of Tameside Radio, where I am now, I was part of the station when it launched in 2007. Then I went away and did other work at different places, and I've been back there again for the last year or so. And being in charge of it and being able to create the sound of the station and sort of craft and direct what it sounds like, that's probably the most enjoyable and rewarding thing that I've done in all the years of radio. So back doing that again is good.
Brilliant. Let's fire into question 4 now. And it's the most question. And you were probably working at Bauer at this time when COVID hit, so we'll go from there.
Right.
I think you were working for Bauer around that time, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would be sort of 12 months ago. Yes, the Links Group had become Bauer by then. Yeah.
You were still working for the Links Group at that point. Where was the old Compass Rother FM based?
So Compass was based in Lincoln, and Rother FM was based in the Doncaster studios. But I did quite a lot of my work from home anyway, even before COVID hit. So it didn't affect me massively, really, because it wasn't a massive change in the way I worked. Because I did quite a few, not all, but quite a few shows from home. So it was just changing the few that I did in different locations to working from home, because I was at that point a freelance presenter on quite a few different stations. So I was on Rother, Compass for the Links Group, and I was on Revolution as well, which was an independent station then before it got bought by Bauer. So during COVID, I was already used to working from home, really, for at least some of the time. So the change didn't hit me quite as much as it did personally as it did for other people.
And also, I was told that Lee Barber, who you know, obviously, did the last show on the whole link, the original, the South Yorkshire Links FM division. He did the last network show, I was told. Yeah,
I must admit I can't remember, but I'm sure if he's told you that's the case, I'm sure that's right. Yeah,
I think it's him, but I'm not sure if it is. I'll have to double check that information.
I think if it was Lee, he was probably the last presenter on Dern, maybe Dern FM for Barnsley. Which he certainly was on, and Rother, I think, and maybe Tracks. Ridings FM, which was based in there, was a little bit different because it had the same playlist as Compass FM. So Ridings and Compass might have shared some shows.
But they had different presenters.
Different presenters, yeah, for much of the time.
A bit like when Prince Philip died, the BBC, they had the same playlist.
Yeah.
And also Bauer had the same playlist, but they had different presenters in different areas. Not different, but the same presenter, but he was on the 2 radio stations at the same time. They were both on 2 radio stations at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was some of that going on, and there was quite a lot of that going on throughout COVID time as well.
And because the BBC at the moment, now they've gone to 1 local presenter at night time for 4 weeks during the summer due to staff shortages, just so staff can have holidays, book a bit of time off.
Straightforward way of covering things, I suppose, to share resources,
And now they've only got, in Yorkshire, we've only got 1 show coming out of BBC Yorkshire in Leeds on an evening.
Right. So that's like region-wide now.
Just for the summer, but on an evening you have a guy called Russell Walker.
Right. Okay.
And sometimes they have Johnny DeAnstis, who is married to Keely Donovan.
Ah, right. Yeah.
If you knew that, the weather lady from BBC. Look north.
Right. Okay. Ah, I didn't know that. Right.
Yeah, and you also have on Greatest Hits next week covering for Steve Priestley. In the different regions, you've got Mr. Goldsmith, Sean Goldsmith, if you've heard of him or know him.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, I've heard of Sean. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so he's back on Great, is he, next week?
He's for 2 weeks, but he's only doing it for cover.
Right, I see. Yeah.
But he's on Virgin at the same time, but he's only doing the Greatest Hits shows from home. He's only doing the Greatest Hits shows from Radio Air.
Oh, okay. Right.
Because that's where the Yorkshire's done, because it's regional. Across Derbyshire, Yorkshire, Grimsby, and we have our own output over here with a guy called Matt Hutchinson.
Yes, of course, yeah.
But he's part of the Nation bubble because Nation and Bauer have different sub-license.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they've got that licensing agreement between them.
And that's how because he does a couple of shows on the Nation network with Dr. Fox. So he's more of a Nation. He's more of a Nation presenter than Bauer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
He just Nation own it, but Bauer just play it out.
Yeah, yeah. It's some sort of licensing agreement between them.
Yeah, so Bauer have really no control.
No, that's right. That's right.
And yeah, you have Debbie Mack as well. Andy Golding.
Yes. Yeah, the different regional presenters, yeah.
Yeah, and on Heart London, you have JK and Lucy.
Yes.
From JK and Joel.
From JK and Joel, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
I want to reunite them two next year.
Do you think, are you going to do it? Are you going to be the person to reunite them?
I want to.
Well, you can only ask.
I've even interviewed Harry Gratian as well.
Oh, brilliant. That's a star interview.
What a legend he is.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You might have heard of him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, star name.
I hadn't even touched the top of the mountain yet.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was Alan Wilkinson who worked at High Peak, I think.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, he must have been there in the early days. That's not someone I know.
Yeah. And I've just been. Yeah. Question. We'll move on now. Yeah, Question 5. What advice would you give to young aspiring broadcasters who are starting out?
Okay. Do what I did, really, I think. Volunteering is a great way to get started. I mean, it's a bit different now because you can get involved in internet radio and stuff from home. But I think the experience you get actually working with other people in a real studio setup, you can't do any better than that, really. And hopefully now COVID's out of the way, there'll be volunteering opportunities back again. So young people, if you've got college radio or university radio, get involved in that. Or like I did with hospital radio, there's community radio now. Get involved, volunteer, and get as much experience as you can, and just enjoy it.
Yeah, and also I'm actually offering my services as well to some young aspiring broadcasters who are starting out. May interview me for an organisation. A friend of mine runs a media organisation.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I've offered my services.
So they can practice interviewing you?
Yeah, because I'm a broadcaster with autism, you see, and there's nothing really interesting about me. I just interview people. Nobody's ever asked to interview me, really.
But now you've got stuff to talk about because you can talk about the people that you've interviewed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll talk a bit about my life. How I've been
And
rejected
your
by,
experience in radio.
well, I started out at different radio stations. I got rejected due to my autism.
So where have you found that's worked out for you?
Hull Kingston Radio, because I did the podcast series back in 2019, and that's really what reignited my career.
So do you enjoy working with other people there? Would you rather work on your own? What do you prefer?
Sometimes I do my own show sometimes, but then I do a group show, We Are Autism, with two other autistic individuals.
So you're getting variety there because lots of people I find who volunteer, they want to do shows with their friends, and that can be quite difficult to do. And I think really you can get more experience if you can work on your own, not just to be left to without any help and advice. Get help and advice from experienced people, but then actually try and do your own thing a bit. That can be really good.
In about 12 weeks, I turned from a nervous wreck in a radio studio to an expert.
Well, I'm glad. I hope you do turn into an expert. Yeah, brilliant.
And now you can't stop me, and you can't get me out of a radio studio. And I'm just getting used to pre-recording shows because I've done a load of shows, 2 shows live, and I already know how to do it live. But I struggle sometimes with doing pre-recorded on my own.
Right, that's it. They're very different skills, doing a live show and doing a recorded show, as you've no doubt noticed if you've done one and not the other. So,
what do you prefer?
I actually enjoy both. Most people would say live, and I do like doing live shows occasionally. But I enjoy,
like at the moment. This show, for example, is going to maybe be syndicated on different community radio stations, but I'm going to charge people for it.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah,
£10 just to earn myself a bit of money, but because I want to explore my brand, but my podcast radio show, like my interviews with Bruno Brooks and Stephanie Hurst and other people, are staying local for free. Yeah. Just because Hull's my hometown and I want to expand a little bit.
Right, of course, yeah. Yeah, good plan.
And my gaffer, I've already asked my gaffer about that, and he said he's got no problem. So I'm just editing a few shows together, getting a few syndication demos, adding the music. I'm doing it on Audacity.
Yeah, very good.
And I'm pretending this computer is like my mixing desk.
It can be very versatile now to use your computer like that. And if you've got skills on Audacity, that's a very useful production skill.
And then I add the music, add the interview, edit down the interview, add the links in, export the demo, and then get on with the next demo. And then going to put the demo on my website, send a link to different community radio organisations like maybe Stuart Nicholson, Wayne Chadwick, the guy who Naz Prem's used in charge of North Derbyshire Radio, the people at High Peak, and a few other organisations, and maybe Chesterfield Radio.
Yeah, good idea. Give it a try. Yeah, get the shows edited together. Yeah, good idea.
That's what I've already done. I've already got 2 edited together.
Right, excellent. Good work.
Thank you. Yeah. We'll move on to question 5, and the last question on the list. What advice would you give to young, aspiring broadcasters who are starting out?
Haven't we done that? But I can answer it again if you want.
Yeah, go. We've done it, sorry. Yeah.
That's all right.
That's it for today. Thank you for joining us, Andy.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed chatting to you.
Do join me again soon for another podcast. But for now, please give it up for Andy Hoyle. Do join me again soon for another podcast. Thank you very much for watching. This will be available on YouTube and my website, wix.com. But for now, please give it up and it may be on a radio station in the future. But for now, please give it up for the legendary Andy Hoyle. Thank you very much for listening and watching. But for now, as I always say, that's a wrap.